right moment, the two souls meet, etc. That is
Yes,
sort of routine description in a way. You see, but then again, a boundless isolation made them one. 15. A boundless isolation made them one. He was aware of her enveloping him, and she, etc. See. Now, this boundless isolation is quite significant.
That would I would kind of think of it in terms of their avataric origin to be
Okay,
implying
their
that.
uniqueness in that
Yes,
sense,
sir. So
but isolation.
isolation, sir, because I mean there are no other of that kind.
No, so no, yeah. I mean, you
And
see,
boundless means, of course, they are of the character of their soul character
Yeah.
is boundless in that sense.
no, you see, I think I would rather tend to apply this description, boundless isolation, to the spot there. There is nobody there around to witness the whole thing, to witness how they're coming together.
So again, which means this sentence has got double layers.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
yes, yes.
It can
Yeah.
indicate the place,
That's right.
as
Yeah.
well as it indicates
Yeah.
their.
There is no human trait, nothing, nobody there. Maybe, of course, trees and mountains and rivers and birds are there and all that thing. But it is a total isolation. No human element is there, no mental interference there. See that way. But at the same time, I don't know whether it is really a boundless isolation.
Because the cottage is close by and the parents would be there.
Well, it's not that close.
Yes.
It's not that close, and it's not. No, it's not. It's not boundless isolation. You see, the gods and goddesses are looking everything from above. They're coming together. The whole thing
Right.
is
So
now.
this is a very how to put it. This was a very global event.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I
everybody.
mean, trans-global.
Yes,
It's
trans-global, and
Yeah.
everybody who was.
And rather, they have been waiting for this moment.
Yes, sir. So everybody who was anybody
Yeah.
was looking.
Present there, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So it's not really boundless isolation.
Yes, sir.
It's not. I mean, on a human plane, yes, you have only two figures there on the grass there. See, embracing each other. But it is not really boundless in that sense. You see,
Right, sir.
I would say that they definitely those supernatural beings are interested in it. They are watching it. They are keen to see the whole joy of the whole creation and all that. You see, and later on, in fact, the marriage ceremony kind of tells you that, no?
Yes, sir.
On the glowing cupola of the day, the dove is there and the
Yes,
little
sir.
cupola, and then the whole thing stands there. You see. In fact, here you got each now was made a part of the other's unity.
Sir.
That is the oneness they got already seen. And then the united two began a greater age.
Age.
Obviously, this is the commentary of the poet. This is the commentary of the poet. The wedding of the eternal Lord and spouse took place again on earth in human forms. That is important, in human form. So, the united two, you see again here, as you were saying, T is capital 2.
Yes, sir.
2 began a greater age because 2 refers to Lord and spouse getting married again here. Now, the marriage of Lord and spouse here again cannot be in isolation. Cannot be in isolation, you see. All those supernatural creation beings are definitely watching the whole show, you see. I would say that, you see.
But then they are part of their being.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
no, not necessarily. They got functionally the different
Yes, sir.
roles also to play, you see. Is there, you see.
But they've only been technically, let's say, present because love enabled that rising and that waking and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
And then, of course, the natural miracle was wrought once more of their coming together. Once more, see,
This has been
in the immutable ideal world, one human moment was eternal made. See, eternal Lord and spouse, they are eternally together. But then in the temples in South India, the marriage of Shiva and Parvati is performed periodically, regularly, on certain days, specifically. It is performed, see,
Okay,
sanctified marriage, you see.
okay, sir.
Shiva and Parvati particularly, see.
So in the immutable ideal world.
Yeah, yeah. In the immutable ideal world, you see. It goes on there. Then down the narrow path where their lives had met. So this is the place, and the lives have met there. Now here he says, narrow path.
Right, sir.
So I would say that narrow path would mean that the chariot cannot go through. See?
Yeah, if there is the forest is thick enough.
Yeah, see,
If it was the way it was before we cleared this place.
perhaps you can manage, you see.
Yes, sir. So now it can be managed, but earlier it couldn't have
It
been.
could not be, exactly, yeah. The chariot could not go. They hand walked to the hermitage.
And this narrow path specifically mentions the adverse, what was called the adverse fate's choice of place for
No,
Satyavama.
I don't think in that sense. No.
No, sir, in the sense that he, with his whatever thing, he was the only one in a way. As a family, they were
Huh?
kind of isolated in that particular kind of region. So this narrow, isolated path kind of a thing relates to that, sir.
No, you see, as we have got in villages, small lanes are there, small
Yes, sir, that is there.
streets are there.
Of course,
see,
that is there. Obviously, a larger was not required because there is only 1-2 people who
That's
are
right,
going and
exactly.
coming.
Yeah, that's right.
Sir.
Yeah, narrow path.
It is
see.
narrow.
No,
But here,
hermitages are there.
Yes,
you
sir.
see. I mean, maybe one hut is there, another hut is there, third hut is there, but still the paths which are there are narrow all around. You see.
right, it had to be narrow in any
Yeah,
case. It
yeah,
couldn't
yeah,
have been
yeah.
broad paths.
And no, my point basically here was that the chariot could not go through.
Right, sir. Right, sir.
Essentially, see. Narrow would definitely tell us that, you see.
Right, sir.
So the chariot is still there where they met.
And where
She got down there. You see.
got down from the chariot. Yes, sir.
Now the other question which we don't know whether they really walked or back together or how long, etc. We don't know that. You see. No. Love's refuge and corner of happy solitude. That is obviously, you see. Then we have got here, adorned with creepers and red climbing flowers. That is the traditional picture of the ashramas, traditional, you see. Kanva Muni, where Shakuntala had grown up. The whole ashram is full of creepers and climbers and things like that.
You said that this red would definitely be Madhumati.
Madhumalati.
Madhumalati.
This is what on a red flowering, red climbing flowers would definitely mean Madhumalati.
And that too in the height of summers.
Yeah, of course, that's right. And why? Of course, that is a very common picture also in the Kalidasian poetry, Madhumalati, climbers and all that thing. But here, it also is used in a certain sense with a purpose. Madhumalati, the climber, is significant because of the expression of faithfulness.
The meaning of the spiritual meaning of the
Spiritual
flower.
meaning, the significance of the flower is faithfulness. So, yes, they are going to be faithful together to each other in this hermitage, you see. So it is suggestive also in that sense. You see. Faithfulness is definitely suggestive that thing. Adorned with creepers and red climbing flowers. And then of course we have later on here. Then moved with a deep joy, she could not speak, which is quite understandable. You see. A little depth of it quivering in her words, yet happy voice cried out to Satyava, My heart will stay here on this forest verge. She is preparing to go back by saying that my heart will stay here and close to this thatched roof while I am far. Now of more wandering, it has no need. She has already said here, no? One and only he and only he.
She's already found love and that's it.
No, in that line
Yes, sir.
we have got no.
Yes, sir.
You are only he and he, that's
Yes,
all.
sir.
Yeah. I know that thou and only thou art he. Therefore, now of more wandering, it has no need. See? And then, of course, we have got here. But I must haste back to my father's house. We soon will lose one beloved, allowed, accustomed trait, and listen in vain for a once cherished voice, because she had to leave the palace afterwards. See? And then, for soon I shall return, nor ever again oneness must sever his recovered bliss, or fate sunder our lives while life is ours. So she is not really speaking consciously, but in the intensity of love, the danger is also kind of perceived.
Right, sir. It's the subconsciously the words which come out. They carry
because
that
the
weight.
intensity of love of oneness, the other sort of hidden fear is there, whether this will get spoiled, whether somebody will intervene and cut it off. You see, so she says the two possibilities: either somebody from above, the recovered bliss, that will be severed of oneness, that will be severed by some other hand, or fate from below will intervene and remove that oneness, you see. So she is thinking of both.
No, sir, if you see the first line,
Yeah,
for soon I shall return.
finished.
Right, so it's finished there only.
Yeah.
And then nor ever again concerns.
Oneness must sever.
Yes, nor ever again oneness must sever.
Yeah.
It's recovered bliss.
Yes.
So oneness that has been achieved through love among them should not get severed.
Severed? No, it's recovered. Nor must sever its recovered bliss. It can be cut by somebody else.
Yes, so whatever way,
Yeah,
she just
yeah,
says
yeah.
this thing which has been achieved now.
Yeah.
Now, nor ever again this thing should be she's already kind of expressing her resolve that she intends this oneness never to be severed again.
Yeah, but it can happen.
Yes,
See,
sir.
from above.
Obviously, it can happen.
Yeah.
But there is, I mean, in the words.
See, that nor and or are important there.
Yes, sir.
Means she is weighing two possibilities.
Right, sir.
Of the oneness getting, the union getting affected. One is maybe from above it happens. Some intervention, some whatever it be, that oneness is severed. Recovered bliss because they had come together. Yeah. But maybe the divine will or power, force or intention or whatever you want to call it, that can always intervene and separate them out. As a human person, Savitri could see that possibility.
This is, so let's say, sir, now which if you go back to what actually happens later on.
Yeah, okay.
So the first fate tries to rend them apart by her mother's suggestions and everything that you find somebody else.
Yeah.
Then death tries to intervene and separate them by the death of Satyavan. And after that, the divine being, when the mask is removed from death, he tries to
keep them. No, he does not keep them away.
But he just says that you keep away from the material this thing.
But he does not say that Satyavan and Savitri will be separate. No.
Yes, sir. That's
you will come and live here happily together.
Yes, sir. But the question is that is this recovered bliss, the recovered bliss in the very matter,
In the human state.
Yes, in the human state in matter.
Yeah.
Right, sir?
Yeah.
So if they leave matter,
Yeah.
so would this recovered bliss you will still say? So maybe the first line refers to that before the or.
Possibly, yeah.
Because the recovered bliss has to have those, because that recovered bliss is in the very matter of things.
Yeah.
And because it says that the marriages of between them in the human form.
Yes. Yeah. So, because it is a human form, it is in a certain sense precarious.
Yes, sir.
Something can intervene from above, something can happen from below.
Right, sir.
That element, because the human element, human decision, human will is not strong enough to really withstand the possible attacks or interventions from various sources.
Right, sir.
And therefore, Savitri, in that sense, is sort of alert to that. And fate, of course, the powers of nature which are working here in the lower nature, they can always play havoc and create problems of that kind. Right. It is not that she is already foreseeing here the possibility of Satyavan's death. It is not that.
She is just worrying.
Yeah, because the love is so intense. You see, yes. Love is so intense. So that is what normally when there is somebody very beautiful, very lovely, very dear to us, you put a black mark on his cheek or something, so that it is repaired. You see, if a child particularly baby, you see, they put a black mark on, so that it's not getting affected. You see. So that oneness, I would say she is reckoning both the possibilities that you see.
But then again, sir, from the logical perspective, what is her logic basically? She's saying that I have to go because I have to go to inform my parents. But I will return soon. Because if I return little late, then
she is taking for granted that they will be always together.
Right, sir.
But suppose in between something happens, what can I say?
Right, sir. No, that's why she's saying I'll come return soon, because the longer she takes to return, the more can be the situations of they are being separated in that sense.
She is basically assuring Satyavan, look, now we have to part. You have to stay back, I have to go back. See. So we have to be separate for the time being. And that does not mean that our unity is affected. Right. Unless that unity is now getting severed by some other external forces.
So because that unity has become a fact of their lives.
Yes. Yeah. You see, this is the deep romantic poetry, and it has that nuances also. See, all those things. It is the power of love which itself says that in the world situation, things can happen of that kind. You see, and then later on, of course, she says here. And under the azure of fiery noon, so she is leaving the place at noon hour.
She was in the morning, she came in the morning.
Yeah. She came in the morning, and means their meeting was for about 3-4 hours, you see. And now she has to go back, you see. Fiery noon, less bright than the splendor of her thoughts and dreams, because she is full of love now. So her dreams are brighter than the dream themselves, you see, or thoughts, you see. And of course, she sped swift-footed, swift-hearted, you see. That is sheer poetry, you see. And then I got a nave of trees enshrined the hermit thatch, the new deep covert of her felicity. It is she, her heart is remaining there in that place. This now remained with her heart's constant scene, obviously, you see. But we are not told what happens to poor Satyavan. When she is gone away, what is his plight? That has remained.
So, which means, sir, all the gods and everybody. Everybody else now have focused their attention onto Narada and that meeting.
Yeah, that is true, but I think for a certain kind of a completeness, I must know what is the state of Satyavan also. You can't leave him hanging there.
It's like this. Whatever her state was, his state would be.
Yeah,
because
but
they achieved unity.
what could have been his feelings or his emotions?
But practically, that unity is very utter in their beings.
Yeah.
So if it's her case that her heart is swift-hearted, then his would also be the swift-hearted.
Yeah, no, that's okay, but still. Yeah. No, swift-hearted, swift-footed, because she has to take a chariot and rush home quickly.
But swift-hearted because of the love having.
Yeah, of course. But on a physical plane,
yes,
see, because she has to drive the chariot home swiftly now back to sea.
But that would not make the heart swift, sir.
Oh yeah, well, it's true.
That is a different affair.
That is
so
true.
Swift-hearted for the purposes of love and swift range for the purposes of going back.
Yeah.